Well, it's been, it's been a long journey to kind of get to that place, and I always look at some people kind of look at raw food or any kind of diet plus as a static thing, and I like to think of it as an evolutionary thing. I think we should always be eating for a function.
Hmm.
I think generally as we generate more interest and more information, it starts to evolve. So I want to be clear to anybody listening is I don't want to take a rigid position for or against anything, but I will share how I got there. Basically, I got into the bodybuilding world growing up as a young man on the east coast of Canada, and it was, living in the wood. Literally, I lived 5 miles to my nearest neighbor, so it was hunting and fishing and kind of a meat-based diet. I mean, that's just what local things were, and went into the more athletic performance model. As a bodybuilding guy, I was a hockey player, and I wasn't that tall, and so I got into strength training so I could be stronger than the other guys, and I liked that, and I started studying under mentors, and after 16 years and studying exercise physiology and sports nutrition, I was a master sports nutrition advisor, and I got to represent our country at the Mr. Universe contest.
Mm.
Now here's the thing. A couple years prior to that, I had kind of a spiritual awakening, I guess you would call it. And I ended up reading a book called The Holy Science, which was written by a yogi in India by the name of Swami Sri Yukteswar. And he was the guru for Paramahansa Yogananda, of course, a very popular yogi in the West. And I read his book, The Holy Science, and he made this argument about the different types of diets and foods that supported the different types of animals on the planet. So he went through the carnivores, he went through the herbivores, and then through a very sound deductive reasoning point, he came up with this fruitivore diet, which is mostly fruits and seeds. Right. And, his arguments were really strong. Now, keep in mind, I had been training and doing competitions that had quite a bit of success. So I said, I'm going to give this vegetarian thing a try. And I switched to vegetarianism. So I did a plant-based diet. And then I tried that for a couple weeks, and then I went a month, and then I went 2 months, and I didn't shrink up and blow away, which is what a lot of people are afraid of because you're so mentally conditioned that you got to eat 300 grams of protein a day or whatever from, bodybuilding magazines and the industry or that sort of thing. And so that didn't happen, and I after 2 months I just said, okay, that's it. I'm not going to do it anymore. So it wasn't like I had a rigid position. It was just an experiment. I tried it. I felt good. I liked the way it was. Now going back to 03, so the mistake I made is I tried to apply a meat-eating mentality to a plant-based diet. And it doesn't really translate very well. It's like if you translate something from French to German, you're really going to get maybe 90% of the communication. There's 10% over there that doesn't work. Well, when you're dealing with a high-performance athlete, 10% means a lot. The difference between first and last is only a few percentage points. So after I did my first Mr. Universe in 03, I dieted for a very, very long time, and I did it was like 11 months, very, very rigid. And after that contest, I gained 42 pounds of fat and water in about 11 weeks. Now, this is a relatively normal rebound effect for people in the bodybuilding world because you go through a very long period of restriction and starvation, and then afterwards, you shut down your training, and then your body starts to reaccommodate. And of course, there's I won't even get into the metabolic damage and stuff, but I was realized at that point. And so I went from Mr. Universe to Mr. Marshmallow, and I was like, God, this is, how's this possible? You're right? Like, well, what happened? How is it? And I put this out to all the athletes out there. How is it I could be so fit, yet so unhealthy? And we kind of equate the two. We think that if someone's really fit, which is your ability to perform work generally related to a given sport, we make the assumption that you're healthy, and that's not necessarily the case. In fact, oftentimes it's the opposite. In fact, many of the high-performance athletes have sacrificed their health for performance. So